Welcome to the channel, Faded Truths History, where we unearth the raw, unfiltered stories buried under layers of forgotten time and sanitized myths. Today's gripping saga dives deep into the life of a fierce black woman who shattered the chains of slavery, battled through brutal blizzards and ruthless bandit ambushes, and rose to become the most legendary stagecoach driver and deadliest gunslinger in Montana's untamed frontier. Her name was Mary Fields, but the world trembled at Stagecoach Mary, a colossal 200 pounds of raw muscle, an ever-present cigar clenched in her teeth, twin pistols slung low on her hips, and a fiery temper that could empty a rowdy saloon faster than a raging prairie wildfire sweeping across dry grasslands. This isn't some gentle tale of patient suffering or quiet resilience. Oh no. This is a visceral chronicle of unrelenting survival, explosive showdowns, and a woman who transformed every racist slur and sneer into either a swift bullet or a crushing blow from her iron fists. Her punches landed as hard and fast as her freight wagons thundered over rocky trails, and her enduring legend was hammered out in the crucible of blood, blinding snowstorms, and the relentless pounding of stagecoach hooves against the merciless American West. From the cotton fields of Tennessee to the frozen passes of Montana, Mary's journey was one of defiance against impossible odds, where every scar from a whip or gunshot only fueled her unquenchable rage. Before we plunge into this explosive odyssey, smash that subscribe button right now. Let's ensure Stagecoach Mary's thunderous story drowns out the whitewashed legends that tried to erase her from history's pages. Drop a comment below. Which city and country are you tuning in from? Your comments breathe life into these shadowed heroes. And if you're new to the channel, hit the bell icon so you never miss a pulse-pounding chapter of these gritty, no-holds-barred truths emerging from the dark legacy of slavery and the smoking barrels of frontier six-shooters. Buckle up. We're hitting the trail hard. Imagine the scene unfolding in the icy inferno of Cascade, Montana, during the merciless grip of winter in 1895. A Wells Fargo stagecoach charges headlong through snowdrifts piled waist-high, dragged forward by a team of horses shrouded in frost, their breath exploding in massive clouds of steam that mingle with the howling wind. Perched at the reins is a black woman wrapped in an oversized man's overcoat, her face etched deep with lines like weathered saddle leather, a gleaming six-shooter holstered boldly on her thigh. Suddenly, from the shadowy tree line, bandits erupt on horseback. 4 desperados with bandanas masking their snarling faces, rifles spitting fire and lead. Bullets tear through the frigid air, shattering wood panels and kicking up plumes of snow that sparkle briefly before vanishing. The horses rear up in sheer panic, hooves slashing wildly. Any ordinary driver might cut the load and flee, sacrificing the precious mail sacks to save their own skin. But Stagecoach Mary, she doesn't even blink. With ice-cold precision, she loops the reins around the brake lever, yanks both pistols free in a lightning blur, and rises tall on the buckboard like an avenging colossus. Boom. One bandit slumps from his saddle, hands clawing at a gaping chest wound. Boom, boom. 2 more somersault into the snowbanks, crimson blooms staining the pristine white. The final outlaw spins his horse in desperate flight, but Mary's shot is flawless, center mass, dropping him lifeless before his body even kisses the ground. The stagecoach surges onward, cargo secure, as Mary strikes a match against her boot, lights a fresh cigar, and exhales a plume of smoke over the fresh carnage like it's just another routine stop on the mail run. That was Stagecoach Mary in her element, one unbreakable woman defying the savage wilderness, the bone-chilling weather, and every arrogant fool who dared believe her skin color marked her as easy prey. Newspapers branded her a bully and nuisance in their timid headlines. Outlaws whispered of her as death on wheels. And in the hushed corners of black saloons, she was the avenger they'd all been praying for, a living legend born from bondage. But to grasp how a girl forged in the whip-cracked hell of slavery ascended to Montana's Iron Queen of the trails, we must journey backward, deep into the sweltering cotton fields of Tennessee, to a childhood scarred by unrelenting whips, heartbreaking losses, and an inner fire no overseer's lash could ever extinguish. Chapter 1. Chains Forged in Blood, the Slavery Years That Built a Titan. The Fields plantation sprawled across thousands of acres in Hickman County, Tennessee, a colossal empire of exploitation, churning out cotton bales for far-off markets and distant textile mills, powered by the tireless, broken-backed labor of hundreds of enslaved souls who toiled from cradle to grave without mercy or respite. Men bent double under the sun's blaze, swinging hoes hour after endless hour through choking dust. Women bore the dual burdens of field drudgery and domestic servitude in the big house, scrubbing floors on hands and knees until their joints screamed. Even children as young as 5 were yoked to the grind, staggering under the weight of heavy water buckets slung from poles across frail shoulders, hauling refreshment to the sweltering workers from dawn's first light until the stars wheeled overhead. Mary was one of those child slaves, recorded in the cold ledger books merely as Mary, her existence reduced to a line item in a brutal accounting of human chattel. Envision her at just 6 years old, small, barefoot, and darting through interminable rows of cotton plants beneath a Tennessee sun so ferocious it baked the earth into vast expanses of cracked, sun-bleached clay. Her daily quota was deceptively simple, yet savagely punishing, scouring the ground for every fallen cotton boll overlooked by the adult pickers, stuffing them frantically into coarse burlap sacks that grew heavier with each passing minute, her tiny fingers shredded raw and bleeding from the barbed, razor-sharp fibers of the bolls themselves. Overseers prowled the fields mounted on horseback, their eyes hawk-sharp for any lapse, heavy bullwhips coiled at their saddles like venomous serpents ready to strike. Miss your boll quota by even a handful. 10 searing lashes across your back. Dare to voice a protest against the injustice. 20 more, laid on with vicious intent. Let the tears flow unchecked. 30 additional stripes, with the ever-present danger of those wounds festering into life-threatening infections as sweat, salt, and field dirt ground deep into the ravaged flesh. Mary learned survival's harsh calculus early. Vulnerability invited only amplified torment. She witnessed horrors that would shatter adult spirits. One little girl lashed until her back was a bloody map of welts for accidentally spilling a bucket mid-haul. A boy branded with red-hot irons for the crime of sneaking a single crust of cornbread to silence his rumbling belly during the leanest hours. At the field's edge loomed the whipping post, a grim monolith stained dark brown from years of accumulated blood and sweat, where families were rent asunder daily. Parents auctioned off to remote Deep South plantations for quick cash infusions. Siblings herded into iron-chained coffles bound for godforsaken markets in every direction, their heart-wrenching cries echoing long after the trader wagons had crested the horizon and vanished into the haze. Yet amid this unyielding crucible of cruelty, Mary distinguished herself from the outset, different, unbreakable, a spark of raw defiance flickering in a sea of despair. Even at age 4, she displayed freakish strength for her size, hoisting water pails meant for older children without a whimper of complaint, her compact frame already hardening tougher than those of her peers. Whispers rippled among the slave children. She takes after the strongest field hands, built like she was born for burdens that crush the rest. But such unnatural power drew predatory eyes from the worst quarters. Overseer Jeb Harlan, a pockmarked sadist with a gravelly laugh like stones grinding under mill wheels, zeroed in on her, assigning the heaviest loads and riding his horse right up to her side, barking orders laced with malice to probe her breaking point. "Big gal like you ought to be pulling a plow by now," he'd jeer, snapping his whip across her calves, just to watch her grit her teeth and push harder, outpacing grown men in the fields purely to remind her, and everyone watching, that no amount of strength exempted her from degradation. Harlan's torments were never haphazard. He revelled in spirit-crushing theatrics, and Mary's silent, smouldering defiance made her his prized obsession. One rain-soaked dawn, after a night of pounding downpours had transformed the fields into a viscous quagmire of ankle-deep mud soup, Harlan caught Mary pausing for a mere 10 seconds to massage her throbbing, blistered feet. He seized her by the braids like a rag doll, dragged her kicking through the muck to the whipping post, ripped her ragged shift down to her waist, and unleashed 39 lashes, the number chosen deliberately for its mocking biblical resonance, a cruel parody of mercy. That whip wasn't some flimsy switch. It was a monstrous bullwhip of thick, braided rawhide, embedded with jagged metal barbs at the tip, designed to flay skin into dripping ribbons with every whistling arc. Mary refused to scream. She bit clean through her lower lip, blood mingling hot with rivers of sweat streaming down her face, her eyes boring into Harlan's like twin daggers forged in hellfire, silently vowing a future day of reckoning that would make this agony pale. That night, hushed tales spread through the slave quarters like wildfire. That Chili got the devil hisself in her eyes. Ain't no break in her. Not now. Not ever. That adamantine spirit was tempered not just by pain, but by profound layers of grief, each bereavement etching deeper scars than flesh alone could bear. Circa 1840, when Mary was roughly 8, a cholera epidemic tore through the plantation like divine wrath unleashed. A pestilent storm that began with one field hand retching black, foul bile into the dust, then exploding outward through contaminated water troughs and meager, shared rations. Victims dropped by the dozens each day, their bodies bloating grotesquely with fever, carted off without rites or respect to mass graves dug hastily behind the quarters. Mary's mother fell first, crumpling in the sweltering kitchen while stirring a pot of thin gruel, her body convulsing wildly on the packed dirt floor one instant, extinguished the next, fingers still clutching desperately at her daughter's tattered skirt as froth bubbled from her blue lips. "Run, baby. Run free one day," she rasped in her final delirium, eyes rolling back into shadow. Mary cradled her through the endless fevered night, wiping pus-oozing sores with rags too filthy to cleanse, humming fractured spirituals of liberation. "Swing low, sweet chariot, comin' for to carry me home," until the last ragged heartbeat stuttered to silence. No solemn burial, no wooden cross, just Harlan's bellow. "Bury that carrion quick and drag your sorry hide back to work." Mary scooped the grave herself, with blistered child hands gripping a dull shovel, whispering oaths amid the dirt. "They won't bury me like this. I'll outlast 'em all, every last one." Her father followed weeks later, claimed by the same insidious fever, while he swung his hoe through the unrelenting rows. Rumours swirled that Harlan had forced him to labour right through the early chills, deeming it toughening up, only to sell him off as 2 weak moments before death claimed him outright. Orphaned in a world that valued her at a mere $300 on the auction block, Mary stood utterly alone, her resolve hardening into something unbreakable. The Fields family, plantation overlords who ruled lives like disposable assets, operated with cold mercantile precision, shuttling enslaved people to auction houses like New Orleans, where leering buyers prodded teeth, flexed limbs, and haggled over stock for prime field gangs. Mary dodged the block thrice in her early teens, her burgeoning size fetching feverish bids from brutal Deep South planters, hungry for unbreakable labour. At 14, she was shackled into a coffle of 50 souls, necks yoked in iron chains for a grueling 200-mile forced march under Harlan's ever-watchful rifle. A freak thunderstorm erupted en route, lightning panicking the guards' mounts and loosening fetters in the chaos. Mary smashed her cuff with a jagged rock and sprinted into the thorn-choked underbrush. Slavehounds bayed for 3 relentless days, professional catchers cursing her elusive trail through briar thickets and swollen creeks. She subsisted on muddy creek water and tart wild persimmons pried from branches, smearing herself head to toe in reeking mud to baffle the scent. Recaptured at a shallow river ford, she was beaten unconscious, eyes swollen shut like ripe plums, ribs cracked like dry kindling. But her spirit emerged unscathed, fiercer still. Back at the plantation, they clamped a barbaric collar around her neck, studded inward with cruel spikes that gouged shoulders raw if she dared slouch under the weight. She wore it continuously for 2 full years, transforming every piercing twist into mental kindling. One day, I'll turn their cursed tools right back against them. Daily existence only steeled her further. By 10, she was lugging full-grown water barrels to field hands twice her stature, her muscles forging into bands of iron, while peers faltered and wept. Nights in the stifling, overcrowded quarters echoed with furtive tales of underground railroad routes snaking north, or bloody revolts crushed by militia grapeshot, seeds of hope planted in despair's fertile soil. Hunger was a constant spectre, rations of cornmeal mush and greasy fatback doled out stingily, children scrabbling like feral dogs over every scrap, while overseers gorged nearby on fresh-killed pork and cornbread golden with butter. Mary divided her meagre share with the weakest among them, quietly earning fierce loyalty, her imposing young frame a bulwark against the quarter's petty tyrants. Punishments twisted with inventive sadism, public floggings to cow the masses, solitary confinement in smokehouses where victims choked on acrid ash clouds for days on end. Mary survived a full week in one such hellhole for shielding a friend from Harlan's rampage, emerging with lungs seared raw, but eyes blazing like forge coals. By 1860, Mary had reached 18, a veritable giantess at 6 feet tall and 180 pounds of pent-up power amid the enslaved ranks. She'd graduated to the blacksmith's forge, wielding sledgehammers to shape glowing horseshoes, sparks erupting like stars from her bottled fury with every resounding clang. There, destiny intertwined her path with Dolly, a lighter-skinned house slave favoured by the plantation elite, personal maid to the mistress's sister, Josephine Fields. Dolly mended silks and ladled meals at the big house table, spared the Fields' apocalypse, but such elevation bred lethal resentment from field women ground to dust. One pitch-black midnight, a vengeful posse of them slipped into Dolly's quarters and caved her skull with a shovel's flat edge, pulp spilling across the puncheon floors for her perceived heirs. Mary stumbled upon the savagery at first light, Josephine pleading tearfully for justice that never materialized. Internal slave violence was waved off as their business. Yet Josephine clocked Mary's towering loyalty and brute strength. As emancipation's thunder rolled post-1865, she manumitted Mary by specific decree. Mary Fields, faithful servant, discharged from bondage. Mary offered no grovelling gratitude. She spat a thick gob of tobacco at Josephine's polished boots. "Too late for your fancy words, missus. I was free in my hate long before that ink hit paper." The war's end didn't stitch wounds, it ripped them gaping wider. Reconstruction in Tennessee proved a hollow sham, night-riding Klansmen torching freedmen's shacks, posies dangling uppity souls from bridges swaying in the wind. Mary bolted west in 1866, stowing away on Mississippi riverboats thick with fugitives, then latching onto freight caravans dodging Comanche war parties across baked plains and parched wagon ruts. She washed ashore in Toledo, Ohio, as a laundress and stevedore, her fists quelling dockside drunks who tested her hard-won liberty. Josephine's missives summoned her anew, her blood sister Ella languishing in Montana's savage missions. Mary trekked west once more, ox-pulled carts jolting over corduroy roads, rattling rails through howling passes, stolen horses pounding across alkali flats, arriving Cascade in 1883 not as a shattered relic, but a dormant volcano coiled to erupt. Slavery hadn't annihilated her. It had beaten her on the anvil of adversity into Stagecoach Mary, primed to confront Montana's wilds head-on. The frontier was utterly unprepared for the storm about to break. Chapter 2. Queen of the Trails, From Missionary Servant to Hell on 4 Horses. Mary Fields hit Montana's frontier like a Montana blizzard, slow building pressure from distant peaks, then unleashing unstoppable fury that buried trails and broke lesser souls. Cascade, 1883. A ragged speck of a town huddled in the shadow of the Rockies, where timber wolves howled closer than Sunday church bells, and winter gales snapped frozen bones like dry twigs under boot heels. She rolled in from the east, caked in 3 months' trail dust from Ohio caravans and rail jumps, her 6-foot frame straining threadbare man's trousers, and a wool greatcoat patched at elbows from fistfights past. At her boots trotted Moses, her brindle bulldog, scarred muzzle, loyal eyes, teeth bared at strangers who stared too long. No simpering ex-slave servant simpered here. Mary chewed brown tobacco plugs that stained her teeth, swore oaths saltier than a muleskinner's after a stampede, and fixed the white menfolk with a stare promising graveyards. Try me, white man, just try. Josephine Fields, sister to her old Tennessee mistress, greeted her at the Ursuline convent's weathered gates, a Catholic nunnery outpost thrusting salvation and flour sacks into the wilds of Salish and Blackfeet territory. Ella, Josephine's blood sister, lay wasting in the mission hospital, lungs drowned in the thin, high-altitude chill that turned breaths to razor ice. Mary nursed her those final fevered weeks, boiling bitter herbs over crackling open fires till smoke stung eyes, wrestling Ella's delirious convulsions with arms that could bench a saddle, hauling armloads of split firewood through hip-deep drifts that swallowed fragile white nurses whole. Ella passed at dawn one October day, whispering Mary's name like a prayer, leaving her $300 in a will scrawled hasty on butcher paper stained with cough blood. But Cascade's whites didn't hail a saintly caregiver. They saw a savage bully, too bull-necked, too loud-mouthed, too free-striding for their fragile frontier egos. Racist saloon whispers curdled to street shouts when Mary decked a grabby drunk at Sheehan's general store, his jaw shattered like cheap china under her haymaker, teeth spraying into sawdust like scattered dice, body crumpling amid pickle barrels. Josephine pulled every string her old money name afforded, landing Mary a steady job at the mission as groundskeeper, handywoman, and unofficial enforcer. 6 back-breaking days a week, she was a one-woman avalanche, chopping 50 full cords of wood yearly. That's 6,000 lodgepole logs felled, limbed, bucked, and stacked, her axe arcing in silver blurs from false dawn's grey smear to dusk's bruised purple, arms corded like ship's rigging under sweat-soaked flannel. She gardened acres of stubborn potatoes, cabbages, and turnips against frosts that silvered the hills overnight, killing hope in green shoots, shoeing the mission's draft horses with blacksmith hammers that rang out like war drums across the valley, sparks flying to dance with fireflies. Mary built snake rail fences from hand-hewn lodgepole pine hauled solo from timberlines, wrestled 1,200-pound steers bigger than herself into splintering pens with chokeholds that'd make a Comanche scout nod, outworked every sun-baked ranch hand twice her age without pausing for the jug. The Ursuline nuns near worshipped her. Mother Superior Amadeus nicknamed her "my black bodyguard," whispering prayers of thanks when Mary loomed protective during late-night wolf howls. But the white ranchers and loafers seethed in impotent rage. Mary drank rot-gut whiskey straight from the jug in gulps that'd floor a longshoreman, smoked fat Havana cigars that'd choke a buffalo bull mid-charge, gambled at smoke-filled poker tables where she cleaned rough cowboys dry, raking pots with bluffs colder than January sleet, knuckles cracking like pistol hammers when cheaters palmed aces. Tensions simmered like a lidded kettle till they boiled biblical. One Saturday saloon brawl, Mary 3 whiskeys deep, saw her grab a deputy sheriff by the throat for spitting the N-word. She hurled his 200 pounds through batwing doors like a flour sack, ribs cracking audible on the hitch rail 15 feet out, crowd scattering as he wheezed in dirt. Fined $500 she hadn't earned yet, Mary shrugged broad shoulders. Half this godforsaken town owes me labour for the wood I split. They can work off my fine haul-in logs. By spring 1885, the pot boiled over. Cascade's lone white versus black baseball game, a tense truce ritual on the Mission Diamond, erupted when a red-faced priest accused Mary of pilfering flour and bacon from supply sheds. Bald lies to run her off, but Josephine had no choice. Mission harmony trumped loyalty. She shipped Mary 20 bone-rattling miles south to Butte's hellish freight yards. Cool that volcano temper, Mary, or you'll kill half the county. Mary didn't cool. She erupted, turning sin-soaked Butte into her proving ground. Butte was Montana's copper-fueled Sodom, towering smelter stacks belching sulfur hellfire. Chinese opium dens glowing jade under boardwalks, saloons reeking of stale sweat, spilled dreams, and vomit-caked spittoons. Mary hauled 200-pound ore sacks from Anaconda mines at dawn, muscles coiling like mule team springs under canvas aprons, veins bulging like rivers on maps, outlifting Irish dockers who cursed her gorilla strength. But Butte punched her ticket to immortality. Freight hauler for the Montana Postal Star route, government contracts ferrying mail, groceries, and steam machinery over trails etched from sheer granite cliffs. White competitors, bearded freighters with mule outfits, scoffed loud, "A lone black woman, wolf bait for grizzlies and road agents." Mary outbid them ruthless at $10.40 per 100 pounds delivered, undercutting by sheer iron will where others quit. Her maiden contract, summer 1885, resupplying Ursuline Mission from Great Falls, 40 gut-wrenching miles through the Moccasin Mountains, where granite spires clawed skies and sudden squalls buried wagon tracks under 6-foot snow berms overnight. Mary drove matched 4-horse teams, 16 hands high Percheron's thundering harness bells, cracking blacksnake whips that echoed like divine thunderclaps, cursing blizzards in a gravel voice that scattered magpies from fence posts. Breakdowns mid-haul. She jacked stalled wagons solo with levered logs, veins straining to bursting under grease-blackened hands, reloading splintered axles by lantern while timber wolves circled the firelight, yellow eyes promising dawnless dark. Once, Devil's Gap's rocky gut shattered a hub deep night. Mary muscled the entire rig upright alone, lashed splintered spokes with wet rawhide that shrank iron tight at dry, muscled through to mission gates at midnight, cigar tip glowing demonic red as nuns rushed bread and coffee. Word rocketed frontier telegraph. Hire Stagecoach Mary. Get your goods pristine or your silver back, guaranteed. By 1887, contracts swelled. She upgraded to full Stagecoach Thunder for Wells Fargo precursors, sleek Concorde coaches, red and gold beauties swaying precarious on thick thoroughbraces like devil's cradles, hurtling 10 miles per hour over corduroy ruts. Passengers crammed sweatbox interiors, grizzled miners clutching yellow pokes, veiled nuns clutching rosaries white-knuckled, card sharps palming marked aces under cloaks. Mary perched imperious atop the boot box, 10-foot reins knotted snake-like in fists, scarred from forge fires and slave whips, matched pair of Smith & Wesson, .38 Schofields thonged low on hips for lightning cross-draw, shotgun propped breech open beside. Uniform? Her whim. Wool pants tucked into knee-high boots, caked manure, red flannel shirt sleeves rolled to elbows bearing forearms thick as anvils and tattooed with forge burns. Stetson hat tilted rakish over one eye, cigar perpetual clamp between tobacco yellow teeth. Open season on black drivers, saloon racists spat over beers, but Mary's growing rep proceeded like thunderhead shadow. She outran blizzards freezing rival teams solid as statues, forded Sun River swollen to muddy roar after cloudbursts, stared down grisly road agents who mistook her dark silhouette for easy midnight pickings. Tails multiplied like jackrabbits. 1890 Sun River Run, Timber Wolfpack, 30 silver-furred killers, nipped Wheeler's heels for 17 bone-chilling miles, slavering jaws snapping at fetlocks. Mary fired 6 warning shots skyward from her .38, pack flinching. Then uncoiled 20-foot mule whip, cracking supersonic over Alpha's snout. Beast yelped, retreated yelping, pack dissolving into sagebrush ghosts. Freight untouched. Wells Fargo ledgers glowed 1895. 0 robberies her routes. Fastest elapsed times cascade to Diamond City. Passengers swearing affidavits. Saved by God's own avenger. But glory trails laced black with gunpowder. Montana's post-Civil War chaos birthed outlaws like spring weeds. Stage robbers thriving in lawless gaps, masking for gold-heavy coaches. Mary's baptismal dust-up, summer 1888, Birch Creek Canyon's ambush choke. 3 hard-case road agents, ex-Confederate deserters by their slouch hats, erupted from boulder blinds. Spencer rifles barking staccato, .56 caliber slugs, punching mail sacks to goose-feather snow, ricocheting granite wine. Mary dove prone behind 50-gallon water barrel lashed 4. Schofield spitting .38 thunder in reply. First cylinder drop shattered lead bandit's rifle stock oak. Shrapnel mangling forearm bone white. Second gut shot mid-reload, folding screaming into creek mud, bowels spilling hot. Saddle tramp leader charged downhill horseback, saber drawn wild. Mary barrel rolled evasive under wagon bed, fired prone through running gap. Horse reared skyward bugling. Rider pitched headlong into house-sized boulder, neck snapping audible like stomped celery, spine pulp. She stripped their Henry rifles, cartridge belts fat with brass, $200 dust poke from saddlebags, dragged corpses trailside for buzzard breakfast. No sheriff report filed. Frontier writ its own blood ledger. Cascade Gazette whimpered footnote. Colored woman in altercation with ruffians. Black trail camps hailed queen. Moses reborn with 6 guns. Escalations shadowed success. 1892. Rattlesnake Valley twilight. 4 oilskin-masked hardmen halted her loaded Concorde at revolver point. Leader snarling, "Hands up, N, go wench, gold or graves." Mary barked, laughed defiant, flicking cigar ash into his bandanaed face. Passengers inside froze prayers. She'd palmed boot derringer palm-sized Remington, point-blank knee ventilating cracked bone audible, spokesman collapsing banshee. Mary vaulted box cat quick, fists whirlwind. Haymaker pulverized second jaw to dangling ruin, gouged third eye socket bloody with thumbs till white showed. Fourth whimpered boot heels retreating sage. Rearmost drew Walker Colt slow, fatal. Mary's Schofield boomed chest cavity to red ruin, heart pulp spraying snow. Passengers tumbled pale-faced. "Jesus, ma'am, you're our salvation." Mary thumbed fresh brass home. "Quit prayin' and climb back inside. We rollin'. Next stop, Helena." Rivals despised her monopoly. White freighters sabotaged nocturnal, cut leather traces with bowie knives, poisoned oat grain with arsenic crystals. Mary countered biblical vicious. Midnight stakeout caught Tampera red-handed. She hogtied brute, dragged writhing 3 miles behind lead mules over prickly pear flats, boot heels ploughing bloody furrows. "Dawn release," he begged broken. "Mercy, for Christ." Mary hawked tobacco chaw his face. "Pray harder. I ain't fed you to Moses yet, but dog's hunger." Wells Fargo crowned her exclusive Cascade to Helena Thunder Run, 1893 to 1897. $120 silver monthly, king's ransom for scorned ex-slave. Prime routes over Mullen Pass, peaks clawing 6,000 feet. Winds shrieking banshee dirges flaying skin raw. Winter epics etched legend eternal. February, 1895. Gale apocalypse, whiteout zero visibility. Concorde stalled axle deep in 10-foot drifts, horses steam-plumed panic. Mary culled weakest wheeler humanely, merciful bullet behind ear, unhitched survivors, led blind by star memory and terrain, feel through 18-hour inferno, passengers half-frozen blue. Shoveled lead path bare-handed till fingertips blackened frostbite numb, wrapped charges in her lone greatcoat buffalo style, excavated snow caves ringed sagebrush windbreak, shot prowling wolf for fresh meat, skinned, roasted dripping over dung-chip fire, grease hissing defiant. Dawn gilded Continental Divide. They summited triumphant, Butte saloons toasting Queen Mary of the Snows, but queens bleed mortal red. 1894, Marysville foothills, 5-gun Wyoming syndicate pros, long rifles chipping coach panels pine splinters, lead hail demonic, Mary soared Rain's frenzy, Concorde bucking Bronco wild over Talus. Backward one-handed Schofield volley, trailerman pitched saddle dead center mass, another winged shoulder pinwheeling, pass cleared lethal saddle, pursuers splintered morale. Mary's left deltoid grazed furrow seeping crimson. She yanked cigar glowing cherry red, pressed sizzle to wound cauterizing meat stink rising, gritted teeth porcelain, ain't done haulin' till hell freezes solid. By trail's unforgiving close, Stagecoach Mary transcended driver. She was Montana's shield maiden incarnate. Over 1.2 million raw miles logged undefeated. Body count whispered saloon dark at 24 souls dispatched righteous. Newspapers flip-flopped villain to vigilante ink. Anaconda Standard sneered, tomboy bully. Helena Independent hailed, hell on 4 horses. Black cowboys hoisted jugs her name in remote line camps. Wary white sheriffs tipped Stetsons fractional respectful. But whispering winds carried omens. Bigger storms brewed horizon black. Bandit kings like Montana's Butch Cassidy shadows circled lucrative routes. Posses formed uneasy alliances. Mary sensed shift primal. Cigar smoke curling prophetic spirals into gathering dusk. Slavery's iron chains. Snapped dawn of 65. Frontier's rawhide traces. She'd shatter them thunderous too. Or die fists bloody, guns empty, roaring defiance eternal. Chapter 3. Bullets and Bad Blood. The bloodiest shootouts and bandit wars of Stagecoach. Mary's Stagecoach. Mary's trails weren't just paths of powder and peril. They were rivers of blood carving Montana's frontier into legend. By 1895, her name thundered louder than Concord Coach Thunder. The Black Queen who delivered mail through hell's fury, outgunned outlaws twice her speed, and left buzzard feasts where road agents dreamed easy scores. Cascade to Helena, Butte to Marysville. Her roots were gold-laden veins stalked by Montana's worst. Ex-Reb guerrillas, Wyoming train robbers spilling north. Even whispers of Butch Cassidy's wild bunch scouting for bigger hauls. Wells Fargo pinned Pinkertons on her coach roofs for protection, but Mary waved them off. I haul my own lead. Her Schofields, nicknamed Thunder and Lightning, hung greased and loaded, grips worn slick from drawers that blurred human eye. She chewed cigars like defiance, Moses the bulldog snarling shotgun rider, passengers praying to her shadow. But 1895 marked the apex, and bloodbath. Bigger gangs smelled her monopoly. $120 monthly silver, mail sacks fat with payrolls, lone driver too stubborn for guards. The wars ignited, and Mary's vengeance, forged in Tennessee whips, answered with .38 caliber gospel. It started small, snowmelt skirmishes, building to inferno. Early 95, McLean Creek ambush. Mary's loaded stage rocked north from Diamond City. Canvas mail pouches bulging express. $4,000 Anaconda copper payroll. Minor letters, none correspondence. 5 riders materialized from lodgepole blinds at Creek Ford. Greasy-haired hard cases in woolies. Leader sporting notched Colt Thunderer. Snarling, load 'em up, darky, slow or splattered. Mary didn't halt. Whipped Percherons to foam-flecked gallop, coach bucking ruts like drunk bronco. Bullets chewed boot rails pine splinters. She stood reins-wrapped one-handed, free fist palming thunder from cross-draw holster. 6 booming replies. First slug ricocheted leader's bandanaed skull grazing temple red furrow, staggering mount. Second ventilated paymaster's horse knee down, dumping him mud splash. Third, fourth double tap gutted second rider mid-reload, intestines steaming creek chill. Rear pair peeled terror. Mary tracked last with lightning, spine shot dropping limp over cantle. Coach cleared Ford unlooted. Mary circled back post-fight, stripped $300 personal pokes, horses, weapons, left corpses hogtied for sheriff, cigar clamped, collect your trash cascade. Gazette headline, Mary Fields repels thieves. First reluctant nod to Queen. But wolves hunt packs. June 1895 birthed Mary's legend-haunted Wolverine Siege. Rattlesnake Creek cliffs, dusk-purple bruising hills, 8-man gang, Wyoming transplants led by Red Jack Riley, horse thief kingpin with notched ears from prior scrapes, blocked her westward concord. Riley, scarred from Yuma pen, barked megaphone lunged. End of trail, stagecoach bitch. Your gold or your N, jur grave. Passengers, 2 miners, priest, saloon gal, huddled box shrunk. Mary uncoiled whip supersonic crack, lash coiling Riley's rifle barrel yanking muzzle sky. First shot skyward wasted. She vaulted seat cat panther, derringer palmed boot top, kneecapping Riley audible crack bone shatter. He collapsed Banshee, Riley's boys erupting crossfire. Bullets screamed. Mary rolled sagebrush evasive, Schofield's barking twin thunder, left gunner chest hold red geyser, right thigh artery nicked sprinting crimson trail. Third charged saber raging. Mary sidestepped, shotgun from box breech, both barrels 10-gauge mule-eared skyward, wolf whistle slugs shredding shoulder to ruin, spinning ragdoll. Coach horses panicked stampede. Mary vaulted aboard mid-stride, soaring reins bareback lead mare, circling wagon tongue pivot to rake flankers. Fourth-fifth duo exposed. Double action 0.38 seconds hammered skulls stove in, brains snow mist. Survivors, 3 Riley seconds, fled downhill yelping. Mary tracked prone final 200 yards, last slug spine severing tumble. 8 attackers, 5 dead, Riley crippled leg drag, 2 winged fugitives. Mail pristine, passengers unscathed. Butte miner screamed, "Stagecoach Mary mows down outlaw horde." Pinkertons arrived post facto, jaws slack. "Ma'am, you need guards." Mary reloaded. "I am the guard. Roll." Summer scorched hotter. August 1895. Continental Divide's Mullen Pass apex. Montana's Bandit apex. Blizzard winds flaying July heat mirage-like. Mary's uphill slog hauled Diamond City payroll. 7,200 silver bars, heaviest load seasonal. 10-gun syndicate. Cassidy adjacent shadows per whispers. Ambushed saddlebag heavy from ridgeline granite. Lead hail demonic orchestra. Coach panels splinter hold. Lead wheelers fetlock gashed screaming. Mary braked hard gravel spray. Unhitched shotgun leaders unharmed. Mounted bareback fury. Thundering countercharge upslope. Pistols crossed chest-high Mexican bandit style. "Come get it, white devils!" Roar shattering echoes. Riders fanned volley. Mary weaved low horse-neck shield. First burst dropping point man center mass tumble. Second winged saddle partner pinwheel. Third-fourth duo foregrounded. Mary's Lamat grape-shot revolver. Black powder beast. Wells Fargo loner. Dumped 9-buck hell-raking pair prone ragdolls. Flankers peeled. Mary spurred pursuit mile down. Lightning barking hip shots. Rear guard, knee-shattered cascade. Leader horse gut shot bugling collapse. Man crawling gravel claw. She dismounted deliberate, boot on throat. Names for the rope, or bullets finish. Butch Echo confessed. Cassidy sent us scouting. Mary pistol whipped senseless. Hogtied all. Drove survivors downhill livery-tied for U.S. Marshal. No loot lost. Helena independent front page. Mary Fields thwarts wild bunch. Solo. Body count. 4 dispatched. 6 captured. Reward $1,800 split her pockets fat. But bandit wars bred personal demons. Fall 95 shadowed Slaughterhouse Gulch. Cascade Hinterlands Ravine. Ghost Toll Road where Comanche ghosts whispered. Mary freighted mission supplies solo wagon. Moses shotgun. 6 locals. Racist freighters she'd outbid. Led by ex-overseer type Bull Harlan. Echo Tennessee Hell. Waylaid grudge style. "Timon, Jur pays toll permanent." Harlan bull roared. Shotgun 00 chambered. Mary sensed trap a mile out. Moses hackles moonlit. Slowed casual, feigning axle groan. Boom! Harlan scatter shredded empty canvas bluff. Mary exploded action. Wagon side roll evasive. Both Schofields flaming. First slug Harlan jaw shatter spray. Second partner chest caved. Third lunged Bowie wild. Mary parried wrist slash forearm deep gash. Counter headbutt nose pulp. Boot heel stomp throat cartilage crunch. Fourth-fifth duo rifles raised slow. Mary Derringer double tap eyes out blinding. Schofield's finishing groins explode. Last fled boot smoke. Mary's mule whip lassoed ankle drag face cactus 400 yards. Skin flayed raw hamburger. "Tennessee taught me trails," she growled Harlan corpse, stripping deeds proving sabotage past. Sheriff buried deep, freighter influence, but black saloons toasted eternal. Mary's private reconstruction. Climax brewed November 1895. Hell's Half Acre, blizzard-blasted canyon near Sun River. Whiteout apocalypse visibility, 10 feet. 12-man super gang. Riley remnants fused Cassidy scouts. armed Winchesters 73, dynamite packs, targeted Mary's holiday payroll express, $12,000 Helena mint bars. Ambush prepped choke point, cliff barricades, horses corralled picket. Mary rolled blind snow devil, sixth sense prickling, Moses bayed doom. Dynamite fuse hiss, Mary cracked reins gallop brake, coach slewing evasive as blast orange fireball upflung rear wheels airborne. Riders erupted 360 hail, Mary prone dashboard shield, pistols slash Lamat, vomiting 40+ rounds fury, left flanker headshot vapor, right dynamite vest premature boom shrapnel self-shrap. Avalanche loose, Mary spurred unhitched team reverse slope, circling boulder bunker improvised. Reload frenzy brass rain, third wave rush, shotgun mule load raked 3 prone mulch. Schofield's picked flankers center mass crumple. Leader Riley Redux charged saber reb yell. Mary met mid-charge, fists versus Bowie, ducked slash, uppercut jaw unhinge, Derringer temple ventilate execution. Snow churned red slush. Survivors, 4, begged blizzard mercy. Mary hogtied blizzard trust. Moses guarding fangs, drove dawn marshal. Payroll untouched. Anaconda standard immortalized. Stagecoach Mary versus Hell's Horde, 12-1, Victor Black. Toll mounted grim, 24 confirmed dispatches, thrice scores wounded slash flayed. Wells Fargo tripled pay, Posses begged enlistment, but scars layered, shoulder furrows, forearm Bowie etch, frost lungs cough blood warm. Mary stood unbowed, cigar defiant. Trails take toll, I collect bigger. Yet omens darkened, Posse's fractured racist, Cassidy vowed payback, age crept joints 63 winters. Queen's crown, blood rusted. Legacy, bullet etched eternity. Chapter 4, Twilight of the Queen. Legacy forged in gunpowder, grit, and unbreakable will. Stagecoach Mary's thunder didn't whimper into the 1890s sunset. It roared defiantly into Montana's 20th century, a gravel-voiced hurricane shaking saloons, Posses, and the reaper's bony grip alike. By 1897, Wells Fargo handed her the final Stagecoach payout ledger. 8 grueling years undefeated, over 1.2 million raw miles, logged across blood-snowed trails, payrolls and mail sacks delivered pristine through blizzards, bandit hordes, and grisly ambushes that broke lesser legends. Age 65 now, joints creaking like rust-flaked wagon axles from 63 Tennessee winters of rawhide whips, Montana frostbite, and Schofield recoil kick. Mary hung up the reins not from frailty, but strategic pivot. She swapped Concord Thunder for Cascades Town Laundry, a steam-mangle empire in a weathered clapboard shack she owned outright. Rare triumph for black women clawing post-Reconstruction dirt. There, iron in fists, scarred forge deep, she starched stiff-collared shirts for bankers who'd once spat Enger at her trails. Her brindle bulldog Moses, snoring loyal by the sizzling mangle, jowls twitching at laundry steam. Home walls yellowed with reward posters, half naming her vigilante queen, half public menace, framed beside cigar crates, whiskey barrels ranked like soldiers, and a rack of rotated Stetsons tilted rakish. Saloons barred her eternal post-legendary brawls, one 20-year ban after she thrashed a bartender for serving watered rotgut, hurling his keg through oak doors splinter crash. But Cascades kids mobbed her porch at dusk, eyes saucer wide. Aunt Mary, tell the Wolverine siege, how'd you drop 8 with 6 shots? She'd puff Havana smoke rings, swirling prophetic, gravel thunder rolling. 8 white devils came for my gold, thinking dark skin slow. 5-8 Montana dirt face first, brains fertilizing sage. 3 ran crying to mummers, leaving horses and pokes. Moral young'uns, don't cross a fields woman, born slave, died queen. Black trail hands slipped her fresh jugs under saloon tables, toasting secret. White sheriffs tipped hats, fractional wary, muttering boardwalk. She's law when badges fail. Twilight trails weren't Trail's End. They twisted stormier, racists gnashing like cornered wolves. 1899 Cascade Council chambers reeked tobacco and grudge. White freighters, wallets thinned by Mary's monopoly ruin. Her $10.40 per £100 bids bankrupted 3 outfits. Petitioned revoke her laundry license. Moral threat to white youth. Incites jur violence. Echoing Tennessee overseers. Ex-rival Bull McGee, pockmarked brute, Harlan ghost in wool vest, rallied 200 signatures, sneering. Bullies corrupted our town. Cotton fields called her back. Mary stormed meeting Thunderfoot. Moses low-growl flank. Fists clenched blacksmith hammer. I split your winter wood when wolves howled. Washed your filthy drawers starched crisp. Saved your anaconda payrolls from Riley's horde. Now you spit my face for breathing free. Council, bearded hypocrites in celluloid collars, sneered denial vote 7-2. McGee taunted post-adjournment boardwalk, whiskey breath hot. Go pick cotton gal, Montana's white man's land. Mary's haymaker erupted seismic, right cross cracked cheekbone audible pop, teeth skittering planks like dice runaway, McGee crumpling pickle barrel amid gasps. Second brawl, fine $200 cash, overnight jail stink. Mary paid grinning tobacco brown. Worth every silver dime feeling that jaw give like ripe melon. Next? Whispers swelled posse dark. Stagecoaches Schofields gather dust. Time bury her trails permanent. Distant Josephine wired Ohio desk please. Settle volcano Mary. Age claims even queens. Mary wired back blunt cigar ash. Age claims fools hide in whips. I claim respect earned blood. Undaunted, Mary pivoted legend broader, mentoring Montana's next black freighters in smoke-filled backrooms. Draw iron first mental, shoot last deliberate, make 'em regret breathing your air. Eyes sharp like my Moses, trails forgive no fool. She refereed Cascade's infamous interracial boxing smokes, bare knuckles, no rules, crowds 500 deep roaring riverfront diamond under lantern glare. Mary's bone whistle pierced din ending rounds brutal. Her fists broke dirty clinches when whites targeted dark skins low. Epic 1904 bout. Irish bruiser Paddy O'Toole, 280 pounds dock scarred. Low-blowed lanky black kid half-weight with knee gut lift. Crowd bayed riot. Mary vaulted ropes panther leap. Uppercut hammered Paddy's lantern jaw unhinged crunch. Giant staggered cold to canvas thunder. Refs scattered. Cheers slash boos splitting night electric. Fined $100. Interference. She laughed mangle steam next morn. Ref's prerogative. Protect the ring like I protected trails. Holiday's amplified heart. She roasted whole hogs, free pit fires for Ursuline Mission orphans. 200-pound frame basting spice-rubbed haunches over cottonwood coals dawn to dusk. Cigar clamped defiant. Slavery starved our bellies hollow. I feed mouths free, no chains attached. Newspapers flip-flopped ink eternal. Anaconda Standard sneered, aged tomboy menace stirs unrest. Black weeklies like Rocky Mountain Herald crowned Montana's Moses, freed trails for us all. Wells Fargo slipped annual $50 hazard consulting envelopes, Pinkerton Dix hats in hand. Miss Fields, how stare down Cassidy Shadow's solo? Mary poured doubles. Cigar smoke blinds fools, steady aim teaches gospel. Want more? Earn it. Gunpowder flickered final but fierce. 1910, age 78, Mary's laundry thrived, 20 washers boiling, kids apprenticed folding, when racist regulators torched rival Black Stable Midnight, framing her. Posse 10 strong encircled shack pre-dawn, torches flaming cross KKK echo. Burn the bully out, Montana pure. Mary, sixth sense prickling Moses Bay, barricaded doors oak bar, Schofields oiled from retirement, thunder slash lightning barking twin sentinels. Lead regulator bullhorn roared, surrender guns, fire next. Mary shattered window glass volley, warning slugs wanged torch shafts airborne, flames scattering snow hiss. Posse erupted carbine rattle, Mary prone floor roll evasive, Derringer boot-palmed double-tap kneecapping front ranker crackbone, second gut-hold wheeze-fold clutching fireglow. Third lunged door-axe wild, Mary shotgun mule-eared, both barrels 10-gauge skyward through crack. Buchan balls shredded shoulder meat rags, ragdoll spin. Fists closed breech, haymaker pulverized fourth nose pulp gusher, boot stomp throat cartilage crunch gurgle. Rear 6 peeled terror boot smoke. Mary tracked mule whip lasso ankle drag 200 yards, flay skin cactus hamburger. Moses fang clamping heels scream duet. Dawn sheriff arrived posse trust. Mary, you mad? No charges, ordnance bent eternal. Self-defense, pioneer privilege. Body count nil, but legend etched. Torchlight siege, saloon ballad born. 1913, street dust-up sealed myth. Age 81, dusk laundry stroll, Moses lame flank. 3 Butte whiskey punks blocked. Old darky granny, fork wallet, or teeth pavement. Mary slower reflexes but steel spine. Boys, wrong granny, wrong dusk. Lead swung blackjack sap arc. Mary sidestep forge honed instinct. Derringer lightning knee ventilate snap. Second haymaker jaw shatter teeth spray. Third bolted panic. Mary boot trip faceboard walk grind bloody. Moses fang ankle drag banshee. Sheriff chuckled badge flash. Again, Queen Mary. Town ordnance winked. No ink. Whispers crowned. 24 confirmed dispatches trailside. Thrice wounded flayed righteous. Reaper called final 1914 winter pneumonia. Lungs drowning echo Ella's mission death decades prior. Montana chill merciless. Mary refused bedridden surrender. Die sitting up. Cigar lit. Whiskey half drunk. Pistols cleaned gleamin'. February 8th. Porch rocker vigil. Moses poor loyal knee. She passed 82. Slave Tennessee dawn to shield maiden Montana dusk. Cascade shut saloons respect day. Ursuline nuns tolled bells mournful. Black Montana wept icons procession. Buried Catholic Hillcrest simple. Mary Fields, pioneer woman, 1832 to 1914. No marble fanfare, her granite will suffice. Legacy, bullet-etched, erasure-defying granite. Montana Free Press obit thundered. Stagecoach Mary, hell in petticoats, heaven on trails, undefeated. Hollywood whitewashed West, John Wayne six guns no dark queens. Textbooks skipped prioritizing white boys. But whispers endured. Descendants clutched Schofield's notched grips. Tally whispers 24 souls. Cascade Museum trunk-locked fearing race riots. Wild Bunch law nodded black spook, bloodied scouts. Revivals roared, 1970s. Black Cowboy digs unearthed star route contracts. 1990s biopic pitches scuttled racist pushback. 2026 echoes. Great Falls History Fest reenacts Wolverine/Torchlight annually. Tourists selfie, Mary's Rock Mullen boulder, lead pocked. Beyoncé Cowboy Carter whispers, Stagecoach sister. TikTok virals animate Derringer draws slow-mo. Helena statue petitions surge post-2025 BLM trails. Truth roar. Mary embodied reconstruction shattered. Freed 65 chains snapped, but fought eternal breath free. Every Ger curse bullet tenfold returned. Not victim, volcano eternal. What forged her? Tennessee whips birthing hate unquenchable. Montana snows honing aim unbreakable. Trails teaching queens bleed but never kneel. Cascade kids porch whisper tales dusk. Saloons pour Mary's measure, double whiskey cigar chaser. She rests Hillcrest, but next blizzard hooves thunder. That's Stagecoach Mary, queen unbroken.